All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. In the headlines today is Kristin Smart. If you're younger, you might not remember this name. She was one of the missing blonde girls over the years that's commanded the attention of the news media and with it the American people who follow the TV very closely. And from a young age, these stories have perplexed me why certain people get so much coverage in the national news in a nation where people disappear by the hundreds nationwide daily. Why is it that some get so much attention, and why so often are they blonde women? And again, I was talking about this recently when we were doing the videos on the anniversary on 9/11. I said, I'll never forget, in the days after 9/11 where it would go on for several weeks, nonstop terror alerts, color scale. If you don't remember, if you weren't alive then, after 9/11, the news would tell you if it was an orange day or a yellow day or a red day for the terror threat. And this would just go on for weeks, just nonstop terrorism coverage, terrorism threats. And then all of a sudden, on certain days, there'd be a missing blonde woman. And they wouldn't even talk about anything else. And they'd be like, does this mean it's like a green day? Is it a green terrorism threat day? So all we can talk about is the missing blonde woman today? And then sometimes that coverage would go on for weeks. And then all of a sudden it would just stop. And they'd be right back to the terrorism and the color alerts. I'd be like, what in the world is going on, man? I mean, if they got to keep you on alert all day, every day about every terror threat there is to your life, and then they can just cut it like it's nothing and talk about one missing blonde woman for a week and then bring it right back, I'd be like, okay, like, do people not see how wrong this news media is? Like, are they under some kind of spell? Hello, something is wrong with this programming. If they're trying to keep us on alert about all this terrorist threats, and then all of a sudden there's just nothing, and it's missing blonde girl, and then all of a sudden that story just disappears like it was never here, and then it's right back to terror threats. It's like something. Don't you see there's something wrong with this coverage? It's like not real. It's like it's trying to control your mind and make sure you're just like following and not thinking. And now the first time you've seen the American people show any signs of life with regards to any of the news going on in the world is Gabby Petito. We're living in the time of a supposed pandemic where we're losing our rights and liberties. We're being told who's allowed to work, who isn't, all these new rules, what you got to do to be in compliance with this, give up sovereignty over your body. Like, these are news stories, but these aren't generating like a conversation, an interest to the regards where people will talk about it. But Gabby Petito, wow, that's a story people want to talk about. This one missing blonde girl. And by the way, what day did they say she disappeared? September 11th? What makes the story intriguing is the 911 police released video from the pullover August 12th. If you missed the video I just did, this is nothing new that I'm teaching about here. The number 83 in murder, but I just did this latest stream just days ago. Streamed on September 20th. Streamed September 20th, so 2 days ago. Today's September 22nd. And again, I was just teaching for the millionth time about the significance of the numbers 8 and 3 and murder and the song Murder by Numbers by the Police in 1983, and how often this number is coded into stories like this that take our attention. The Chris Watts family killing was a great example. Colorado equals 83 where they lived. Watts equals 83. Murder 83. Again, Murder by Numbers, the song where killings as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3 came out in 83. The movie poster with the same title codes. The E is a 3 and the B is a 8. 3883. And again, now just 2 days later, they bring back the Kristin Denise Smart story. That's her full name. Her full name equals 83 like murder. And again, if you watched the video I just did on this, I play the song by Murder by Numbers by the Police, and then I get into the significance of 4 and 44. 4 and 44. I'm talking about 444. Today, the headline CNN had up earlier today was about how if you're unvaccinated, you're 4 times more likely to die. Again, 4 is the number associated with death. But I just want you to see that this story about her disappearance 25 years later, a missing blonde girl that they bring up in the time of Gabby Petito, another missing blonde girl now found dead. But the man who's the reason the headline's happening, because he's going to face trial for the first time for the death. Look how old he is. He's 44, right? And kills 44 and execution 44. And I just did a video saying how they're always coding the same numbers in these stories. It's why the Gabby Petito police video starts at 4:44 local time. It's why she was found in the 44th state, Wyoming. And again, if you guys are new here, I've been teaching about these same repetitive patterns over and over and over and over. And I mean the same exact numbers. So literally just 2 days ago, talking about missing blonde girls, 83, 44. 2 days later, you get another missing blonde girl who I've actually never decoded before. She wasn't even in my repertoire of examples. Because I started doing this in 2013. I haven't heard about the Kristin Smart story in forever. It's just triggering a bell in my head. I wasn't even quite 13 years old when this news broke. I was almost 13. I was born in 83, speaking of 83. But let's just go through this because I'm going to show you guys. I just finished writing this book, and my new book's going to be the follow-up to this. If you haven't read my latest book, Number Games 9/11 to Coronavirus, it's my second book. In the first book I did, I said it's the Jesuits who are behind all this propaganda. In the second book, I learned a lot more about the Jesuits by that time and presented an even more crystal clear case. And my third book should leave no questions. I don't think there'll be any more questions left to ask after this third book. And I'm pretty much done with it. Tonight, I'm going to reveal the email for where to send submissions if you want to design the cover for my new book. Again, first place, we'll get a box of books and $1,000. I've decided I'm going to give books and smaller sums to second and third place because there's going to be a lot of submissions. Probably $500 to second place, $300 to third place, and books as well. The new book that's coming out isn't nearly as big as my first two books. My second book's a pretty good sized book. My first book is over twice as long as this book. My third book is going to be right around 50 pages. I'm trying to figure out how to make it 48 on purpose and to put it back on them. But it's going to be a lot smaller, but it's going to be just so convincing. And the new book is called Illuminati Confirmed, the Jesuit Order, which some people think is a stupid title, but again, it's a title that's meant to capture the minds of the people who use phrases like Illuminati Confirmed to dismiss people like me. And I want you to see how what I'm about to decode is I'm just days away from finishing this book and announcing, hopefully soon where you can pick it up and how long you have to wait for and all that. But I want you to see how the Kristin Smart story being in the news today is truly confirmation from whatever you believe in, the Creator, God, Jesus, Muhammad, whatever you believe in. I just want you to see that your God, your belief system, it's not that different from mine, and we all get confirmation in the same way from the Creator. And that's a sign that you're doing something right. I've been lecturing about the way the news media plays with our minds and the joke of ongoing missing blonde women and who's pulling the strings. I want you to see how perfect the Kristin Smart example is. Like, this blew my mind, this story that I'm about to decode. And sadly, hardly anyone in the world is going to see this video, but this is so important. The whole English-speaking world needs to understand what has been done with this story and why it comes up at the time of Gabby Petito. It's beyond just the 8344 thing. Look how perfectly this exposes the Jesuit order, which is the Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati, renamed Order of Illuminati, was created by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt May 1st, 1776. This young woman disappeared in May of 1996, 220 years later, on the day leaving 220 days left in the year. And again, what my book is about is clearly helping people understand the Jesuit code of letters and numbers, which comes from Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, why they do this, how they've synced up the English language with the calendar, and how they do things in circles, cycles, in perfect patterns, in perfect repetition. I feel like I have to figure out a way to get this whole Kristin Smart thing in the book. Maybe even just lead it off. It's hard when you're writing a short book, man, because there's some stuff you just gotta be like, okay, I gotta leave it out. because I'm killing, I'm beating a dead horse here. But look at this, you guys. I mean, just look at this. Okay, so again, her name is 83 like murder. And if you're new here, the movie poster Murder by Numbers. E3B8. And if you want to know how to calculate the words into numbers, I'll explain it all. They're in the first chapters of both my books. This stuff's very intuitive. It's second grade math. It's addition. It's running the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. It's very simple. It's using numerology. But the song Murder by Numbers in 83, like the word murder's 83, the star of the film Sandra Bullock's another 83. Again, 8338, these are numbers of death and killing. And they are used so ritualistically in the news, it's ridiculous. Here's just another example, right? And with regards to it being 25 years later, 25 years later, she disappeared on the 25th of May, 25 square root 5. May's the 5th month. All this stuff is mathematics. But 25 years ago, a missing blonde, right? Blonde has that gematria 25, as does time and death. And where blonde equals 25, that is what's considered the most important cipher. You just take the alphabetic order, A's 1, B's 2, C's 3, up to Z is 26, and use numerology. So you make each double-digit letter a single-digit number. So like Z, the 26th letter, would become worth 8 because the digits of 26 are 2 plus 6 is 8. Y, the 25th letter, I know you can solve this. 2 plus 5 is 7. Yeah, Y is 7. X, XXX is 666. The 24th letter, 2 plus 4 is 6. But anyway, blonde is 25. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse with the rules of numerology, time and death are 25. These numbers are used very often ritualistically. We all associate time with death. Again, she disappeared on the 25th. It's the Jesuit order behind all of this. Her name, Kristin Smart, is 54 and 153, just like Jesuit order. Notice she was born on 2/20, February 20th. She disappeared on the day, leaving 220 days left in the year. And again, that month, the Illuminati turned 220 years old. And just watch how we bring in the Illuminati piece here. But first, the Jesuits. Notice from her February 20th birthday to her May 25th disappearance was 95 days later. The Jesuits were created to counter the 95 Theses and recognized by the Roman Catholic Church on September 27th, the day leaving 95 days left in the year. Martin Luther King Jr., who assumed the name after the Protestant Reformation leader who led with the 95 Theses, MLK, was assassinated on the 95th day of the year for speaking out against the U.S. military when the Jesuits are a military order. So, Kristin Smart, who has the Jesuit encoding, disappeared 95 days after her birthday. You could also say it was her 96th day of her age in the year 96, and remember the word Freemason is 96. Modern Freemasonry was created by the Jesuit order. This nation's federal government in D.C., where the Jesuits and the Masons are. Okay. The 3 months and 5 days we'll get to because she disappeared on the 35th parallel. But notice in Gematria, Catholic equals 145, and the day she disappeared was the 145th day of the year. The town she disappeared from, San Luis Obispo, equals 35, and the most pure cipher, Catholic's 35, like JFK was the first Catholic president, number 35. That town's also on the 120th meridian west, and from the anniversary of the establishment, the Illuminati was established in May 1st, 1776. From her disappearance date, May 25th, to today, the day this news comes, September 22nd, it coming back for the first time in 25 years is 120 days later, right? The Illuminati was established by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Illuminati means in the light. Knowledge is light. The word knowledge is 96, like how you could say she disappeared on her 96th day of her age in the year 96. But the Jesuit logo is the sun, the provider of light to this earth. So all of this stuff is so carefully thought out. And remember, with regards to Catholicism in 145, in the Catholic Old Testament, there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament than the Protestant Old Testament, 145 more. And if you're new here, there's 4 base ciphers. That's what we work with every day. It didn't always start that way. When we first started, we just used the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. But the 4 base ciphers are the alphabetic order in reverse, the alphabetic order forwards with numerology, the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology. And the reason you can see all these ciphers are important is look at things like this. JFK was the first Catholic president, number 35, killed at age 46. Joe Biden's the 46th president, the second Catholic president, who was elected November 3rd, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And inauguration was on Pope's 35th day of his age. And keep in mind, that was the 59th U.S. presidential election and inauguration. And Pope Francis, who it was synced up with, equals 59, like Benedict stepped down on the 59th day of the year. Again, out of the 4 ciphers, that's the most important one. The same one where Benedict is 59. With regards to running the alphabetic order in reverse, Catholics 145 and 46. In the Catholic Old Testament, there's 46 books. There's 39 in the Protestant. That's why there's 145 more chapters. And remember, Joe Biden, who just did the big 46-35 ritual, the first member of Trump's cabinet to step down in protest, she thought he should resign early. What was her name? Elaine Chao, whatever her name equaled was 145. That was right after the election of Biden. And the election was called for Biden officially January 7th, one day after the staged insurrection in the big Jesuit ritual that was simulated at Jesuit Georgetown on June 12th. But the election was called for Biden on January 7th, 7/1, 353 days after his birthday, the 71st prime, just like how the first time he became senator-elect in 72, it was on January 7th as well, 353 days from his birthday. So you got to know all the ciphers. They're all important, and when you know them, you see through their rituals crystal clear how they've encoded our language. And understand, this was all done way before English existed. So if you can say, how's this possible? Understand, this is being done thousands of years before English even existed. If it seems complicated to you, it's because it's new. It's really just addition and cleverness. But this is how the Catholic Church is responsible for the world as we understand it, including the English language, including the calendar we're on, and that's why it's all so perfectly synced up. All of this was done by the Jesuits in the 16th century. So, again, I mean, it's so perfect. And for me, like I hadn't even opened up the article yet to see the details about the man when I was decoding this morning. So when I finished with this, I was like, okay, that explains that part good. And I was like, let's now get into the man part, right? And then I opened it up and like, come on, man, 44 years old. Why do they do this every damn time? The thing that amazes me most about this research is that 50 years before I was born, somebody else wasn't doing this in the world. Well, maybe that's not true. Sometime in the time of the internet, though, the internet was pretty deep into the game in 2013, and it was coming across this knowledge and using the power of the internet to quickly connect a lot of dots, and been teaching this ever since. But it's so much. You see how they even have the father's name mentioned as age 80? I'm telling you, this is not an accident. I mean, how many times have we talked about the Bavarian Illuminati in 80? That's what they were officially established as, the Bavarian Illuminati. And then they renamed it Order of Illuminati, or Adam Weishaupt did, the Jesuit, which equals 201, just like the Jesuit Order's 201. And again, remember, Event 201 was the coronavirus pandemic simulation 1 month before the outbreak in Wuhan, and it was done the same day the Military World Games began in Wuhan, China, and the Military World Games started in Rome in 95 and are credited to the Jesuits, who were created to counter the 95 Theses, like Kristin Smart disappeared 95 days after her birthday. But, okay, here's the other thing. She disappeared on the 145th day of the year, May 25th. Look at the name Paul Flores, 145, right? 145. The name Paul Flores in the most pure cipher, 44, like kill, like execution, right? We just talked about all this just days ago with the Gabby Petito. And if you guys are new here, by the way, my channel's been deleted 21 times by YouTube for doing videos just like this. And if you're new here, maybe you can understand why, because we've been fully exposing what's really going on in this world. It's like the power structure that does this every day can't afford to have this knowledge out of the bag. I mean, that's what sucks about doing this, putting out the truth and not enough people getting it. But again, Gabby Petito was just found in the 44th state. Kill 44, execution 44. Her birthday's 19/3, like 193, the 44th prime. Her birth name, Gabrielle 44, Brian 44. This image used in the media of her being at Zion Outdoors. Zion's 44, like Israel's 44, like Theodore Herzl, the founder of Zionism, died at age 44, 44 years before Israel was established by the Jesuit and Catholic Church. That's why it was established by David Ben-Gurion, 145 on 14/5. You see how his name's 73? So is Theodore Herzl 70. Whoops. Something's missing. Oh, there it is. Theodore Herzl 73. He died on July 3rd, 1904. Again, 44 years before the founding of Zionist Israel on 14/5, like 145 again. Again, this is how all these stories come together. The Jesuits are Catholic and Jewish. They are where the roots of Zionism is. That's why everything about Israel goes down by a Catholic Jesuit ritual. Like Netanyahu, Mr. 44, was thrown out of office on the day, leaving 201 days left in the year earlier this year. Remember when he did his 44 seconds of silence as a stare down to Obama, number 44? Supposedly Israel and the U.S. were beefing in the Jesuit puppet show as Obama hands even more money to Israel. Land of the free, home of the brave, paying everybody else's bills, fighting everybody else's wars. We're just free to pay the taxes for it, you know? Free to go to 13 years of slave school and learn why it's so great to do it this way. To be the police of the world and be enslaved to tyranny your whole life. Just shut up and comply. It's never been better. Wave your flag over there. Shoot some fireworks off on 74 Day. Anyway, but look at the gematria of Paul Flores. Literally all the same values as numerology. 44, 55, 125, 145. We've seen these things a gazillion times. And again, like I always say, if you can only have one cipher, it's the dark blue one. You'd see Paul Flores, 44, 44 years old. Number associated with killing again and again. Gabby Petito videos got to start at 444 sharp. You know. But here, if you thought it was a coincidence that in her name, Kristin Smart, it was just like Jesuit order. You see how it's 54 in the most pure cipher? Look at, where she disappeared. San Luis Obispo, 54-171, a Catholic town. A town named, just like most of California, named after Catholics, right? 171 is the 18th triangular number. Huge pattern. The word sun is 18 and IHS is 18 forwards and backwards. That's the Jesuit acronym. Just to start this college football season, Nick Saban just got his 171st win on an 18-date numerology. What team was it? But they were playing for the 18th time against each other, the two teams. The next week, Ben Roethlisberger got his 171st win over the Bills 18. Just this week, I believe it was either Iowa or Iowa State coach got his 171st win. And they were playing an 18 team too. I forgot what it was, but I'm just making the point. If you're new here, all of the world of college and pro sports is scripted if there's Vegas gambling on it. Buy this code, buy this same knowledge, buy the same gang. All roads lead to Rome. That's why they're always syncing up the sports propaganda with the news. Like how in the first week of the NFL, the 4 unvaccinated quarterbacks all lost because in the news media, you're a loser if you don't comply with the tyranny, the big fascism. If you don't go get Pfizer's criminally rushed out shot, the most sued company in the history of the world for wrongful death and injury, who does these Jesuit rituals like they're farts out of their ass, you're some kind of idiot. Anderson Cooper would say you're a child. You're not an adult if you haven't gotten Pfizer's vaccine yet. It's like, my adult brain says, man, the most sued company in the history of the world for wrongful death and injury from medicine, in our government that's just known for killing people and being unapologetic about it, I feel like my adult brain says, I'm not some dumb little kid and I'm not going to be bossed around by some asshole adult who's full of shit. So, Anderson Cooper, man, you can keep sacrificing your mom in the Vanderbilt, days before Vanderbilts win their College World Series and whatnot, and Don Lemon over there can keep sacrificing sisters and siblings. But none of these Jesuit pawns are persuading me of shit. And I'm telling you, it's my adult brain that sees through all this. I feel like I'm one of the only people in the world that's got an adult brain. But you see, again, the numbers 171 and 54. Again, 171 is directly related to 18, and sun is 54 and 18, you see? And every year we're on this Catholic calendar, named after a pope. That's why there's 52 weeks in it. Go watch my video on why Monday Night Football was going to be all about the Pope from before the NFL week began and the exact number patterns that would carry out throughout the week, which helped us win big in a lot of games. Again, all of this stuff is scripted according to the Catholic Church, the Pope. This is their ritual. And again, 52 weeks in the year, the most simple cipher, Pope 52. That's why in the Green Bay game, 52 points scored. It was all about the Pope. And if you watch the game, it was put away on an 11-yard drive that ended with an 11-yard touchdown pass, putting them up 11. It was all but over when that happened, you know. All for the Pope. So, anyhow, this town, though, this Catholic town with all the right gematria, these rituals on the calendar that goes in circles, and I see what I did. I was looking for the screenshot, but it's not there. Today is 22/9, right? 22/9, like 229, the 50th prime number. The killer's name is Paul. In the most simple cipher, Paul is 50, like circles 50. And remember, circles so important in geometry. In gematria, what we're doing means geometry and language. You see how circle also has the 112 in it and the 40? So does mathematics. And you see the 112, the 185, the 68? Catholicism, right? 112, 185, 68. The Club of Rome established in 68, the year so many agendas went into motion. Again, cover that in chapter 2 of this book. Cover it in a big way in my first book as well. Everybody's got to know about 1968, even the year coronavirus was coined. So many things in 68. HIV to 911 to the World Trade Centers and beyond. Major assassinations, MLK, RFK. MLK killed on the 95th day of the year in the big Jesuit ritual. But remember, geometry class. Gematria means geometry and language. Comes from Jewish mysticism, comes from Hebrew, Greek, things that came before Rome. And look at this. It's all about pi. Remember learning pi 3.14, how you used it for so many measurements with the circle? The mathematical shorthand of pi is 22 divided by 7. And when you write that out with your most simple cipher, the alphabetic order, it's 314, right? And if you write out 360, the degrees in a circle, it's 227. Like 22 divided by 7 gives you pi. Everything about this is so cleverly thought out. You know, America, this Jesuit creation equals 50. Washington equals 50, right? And if you write out Jesuits, the plural, it's also 50. Their headquarters in the nation is Washington, D.C. It's one of their headquarters for all of the world. But this is what they're doing, you guys. These rituals under the sun on their calendar. Their logo is a circle, right, that represents the sun. It's got the 32 sun rays on it. There's 32 sun rays on the Jesuit logo. It's not an accident, you guys. Circle in the most pure cipher is 32, like America. Remember, the Jesuits and the Scottish Rite in France and Washington, D.C., you know, this history they share. The 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite shares the Ad Merum Dei Gloriam motto with the Jesuits. You see? And you see how Scottish is 32 and 49, just like America. You see? Washington's got the 49 as well. So this is what it is. This is what the United States is, you guys. It is a Jesuit-controlled operation. They control our media. They control our government. And with those things, they control our minds. And for those people's minds who they can't get with those things, they got the sports games and the entertainment. You know, they got a hold of nearly everyone's mind in this world who cannot see through their games each day and the nonsense that they get away with. I mean, it really should snap people out of it when after 3 straight weeks of nothing but terrorism fear, all of a sudden all they can talk about is a missing blonde girl. You know, Kristin Smart happened before 9/11, but still the news was always this way. Sometimes they just drop everything and talk about the missing blonde girl. Too many straight days of O.J. Simpson. We need a few days of missing blonde girl. Too many straight days of Bosnia. We need a missing blonde girl. You know, I've been talking about this over and over, and I literally was just ranting about it most recently at the beginning of this month for the 9/11 anniversary, and then literally days later, a story breaks about a missing blonde girl on 9/11. It's like, come on, man. Come on. And then to bring this one at the same time, again, they're teasing people. They're teasing people. Where's the video of Gabby, right? She's in the only state that equals 50 in the United States. Out of the 50 states, the only state that equals 50 using the most simple cipher is Utah, right? So now Paul's up, how they can captivate the minds of America, the land of 50 states and a gazillion territories. So, and then who else is in the news? You got Jesuit-educated Donald Trump, Catholic Mike Pence. Every day when you know what to look for, you see it's a big Jesuit show. So with regards to the Jesuits, I want to talk about some other headlines. We were just talking about Sarah Jessica Parker losing her friend the other day, and now she loses one of the cast members. And again, both big Jesuit rituals. Same numbers, day after day. But just want to make sure that if all you care about is the Kristin Smart thing and the parallels with Gabby Petito, you can just take that red bar at the bottom and rewind and listen again since we're live. Or you can follow with the rest. Richard Buckley, we're going to start here with this one first. Richard Buckley, who is a fashion editor, just died at age 72. As we know, Jesuit order is 72. They were created on a 72-date numerology. They were reinstated by the Pope on the 359th day of his age, the 72nd prime, the big Jesuit holy day each year, the mutilated birthday of Jesus Christ on the birthday of Mithra, the old god of Rome, December 25th, that's the 359th day of the Jesuit calendar year. That's the calendar we're on. We're on the Jesuit calendar. That's what the Gregorian calendar is, the Jesuit calendar, because we're living in their world. But Christmas is the 359th day of the year, the 72nd prime. They coded this into the two most recent presidents, who are both Jesuit pawns. President Trump, who did 1,072 rituals. President Trump, 72. President Biden, also 72, you see. And with regards to President Biden being 144, also like Jesuit order, remember Trump posed with the Jesuit Pope on the 144th day of the year, right after being in Jerusalem for Jerusalem Day. Israel is a Jesuit operation. Modern Israel is. But remember, they simulated the election June 12, 2020 at Jesuit Georgetown, 144 days before the election, that Biden would win narrowly. Trump would refuse to step down, saying had been cheated, and it would lead to deadly violence in America, which was your Capitol insurrection staged Jesuit ritual. 201 days after the only Confederate statue in D.C. fell at Albert Pike, the Mason, on the day that would become Juneteenth the next year, June 19th, right? So, and again, the Civil War was a big Jesuit ritual. Just check Abraham Lincoln's letter about it, Well, he didn't call it a ritual, but he said it was the work of the Jesuits. Okay, so dead at 72. Again, just huge Jesuit order number is 72. And let's see if there's some other Jesuit numbers in this. Is it just that? Or is it that they mention in the article that his career with New York Magazine began in 79, which is another big Jesuit number. But look at this. 79 to the year he died, 2021, is 42 years later, right? And notice, just using the same cipher, Society of Jesus is 79, Jesuit Order is 72. That's the same thing. They have their two names for themselves, and this is probably why, because they put these numbers together all the time in rituals. Georgetown, the nation's first Jesuit university, is 42, and Jesuits 42. And I should say this about Georgetown. Again, if you can only have one cipher, it would be this one. Jesuit Order 54. John Carroll equals 54. That's who established Georgetown, January 23rd, 1789, days after his 54th birthday, right after he turned 54 years old, established Georgetown. And again, in the most simple cipher, Sun's 54, like their logo. We're on a solar-based calendar. The Son of God, the pagan cross, the Catholic Church. I mean, just think about it. It's also transparent. God, Son, Nazareth, crucifix, all equal 93. They say the sun's 93 million miles away. The Jesuits, their hand in science and spirituality all across the world for all the centuries, even documented in our history books. But remember, Kristin Smart in this cipher is 54, and she's now in this ritual in time, and I forget how to type out the name of the town she disappeared in, but Catholic town that equals 54. You know what I mean? So he was a fashion guy, that's this man who's dead at 72 was fashion, in the most simple cipher, fashion 72. And I always think about how much of the fashion comes out of Paris, France, Jesuit stronghold, and Italy, Jesuit stronghold. I'm just like, It just like, it makes so much sense. These guys are the masters of controlling the world. The reason they care so much about fashion is because of women, man. I mean, as society becomes more feminine, as more and more people really care about fashion, and I'm not saying it's not, there's people who are masculine that care about their fashion. I'm a little bit biased because I don't give a shit about fashion at all. That's why I wear a white t-shirt each day and sweatpants and gym shorts. I don't give a shit. And I shouldn't say I don't give a shit. Like, there is a time to dress nice for an occasion, like to show respect. But, again, I just realized society is just so obsessed with materialism, so obsessed with the mainstream. I just try to be as non-mainstream as possible and still be successful in life. Like, that's the game I play within this game that I don't want to be a part of. But shout out to the Perrys of the world who are great men who are in the fashion business. I don't mean anything against what you guys do. I mean, I admire people that have good taste and look nice in their clothes. Sweet lady is the master of fashion. She doesn't spend a lot on her clothes, but she's good at buying inexpensive and looking super sharp, and she was made for clothes, that one. You know, fashion's her thing like so many other women. But I realize that the power structure, I mean, again, look at what the top companies are in the world right now that are worth the most. You know, it's the Louis Vuittons, the Gucci's, and you think about it, I mean, it's all branding, right? They're selling products. It's not necessarily the cost. I guess it's that they had the stock. Well, I don't know, man. I don't want to offend Sweet Lady, but some of the stuff that like catches her, I'm just like, that doesn't even look good, and it costs that much. Oh my God. But anyway, whatever. Just people strive for these status and these symbols, and it's them, man. It's Italy and the Jesuits, and the reason they know to control the prices is this is just how they control the world. Through women, they control men, right? This is the game in the world. It's like, you know, you want that certain woman. She's put a price tag on herself. She deserves this. She needs this status. She needs a man that can afford these labels. There's a lot of women in the world that are like this. And you take away that part of them, you know, if you could take away that part, they're pretty good people. But that fashion label status thing, I'm telling you, man. I always tell Sweet Lady because she's into it too. But I'm like, that stuff is evil. You're like participating in evil. These people are evil, you guys. If you doubt what I'm saying, you're not thinking. This is all part of the same thing, controlling the minds of the masses, keeping people on this endless cycle of slave away, pay the taxes, give up your money to these big labels. I mean, this is the gang that's controlling the world, and you ask how they can afford to do it, man. It's because they got everybody handing over their money to them. If you're not handing over on the taxes, you're handing over on the sports game, the pay-per-view, the Louis Vuitton, the Gucci, the Chanel. What are the other brands? Prada. What are these other brands? I don't know all my designer labels. Remember, I went to Vegas and I went to the mall. I didn't know there were so many different designer stores. Just like, never even heard of that before. Okay, everything in here costs $1 million too. My God. That's why they got all those stories down in Vegas, man. For everybody who hits big at Vegas, they go to the mall and they just give it all right back right there, you know. Purse probably cost them in materials maybe $100 to make. What's the price tag on it? $10,000, more than that. It's just like, my God, man. These people are making bank. But here, coming back and just showing you how it's all connected, I was just talking about how, you know, Smart disappeared on the 35th parallel, right? In a Catholic town, in Catholic 35, and, you know, the Jesuits served the Catholic Church. They got to mention that this man was married to younger Tom Ford, who comes from Gucci, for 35 years, right? And then, lo and behold, in Gematria, Tom Ford equals 35. And again, in the same cipher. Started in 79, dead at 72, 42 years after his start in the fashion industry. Fashion also 72, but in that same reverse reduction cipher, Tom Ford 35. And again, you guys have to understand, for the first 3 years that I did this research, I did not even know that this cipher existed. I wouldn't have saw any of this. And that's why when people are new here are like, well, why do you start using all these extra ciphers? Because I started to notice. When I used this cipher, I was like, wow, look at the ritual within this cipher. There's no way this is a coincidence. I mean, do you think that's a coincidence right there? Do you think this example right here is a coincidence, or the millions of other things I've shown over the years? No, these are not coincidences. This cipher is so important. You know, it was in this cipher that we noticed Genesis 3:22 equaled 3:22 in the New International Version and the King James Version. There's no way. There's no way these things are a coincidence. Revelation 14:9 in that cipher equals 666. It's about the number of the beast. 666. Revelation equals 149 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. These things are not a coincidence. This is the other half of the code. So anyway, Tom Ford, married for 35 years, and then husband's gone. And the man who's dead, who got his start in 79, notice his surname, Buckley, is 79, right? And he started with New York Magazine in 79. It says right in the article, New York Magazine, 187.79. Society of Jesus, 187.79. Remember, Anthony Fauci, 187. The pandemic declared on his 79th day, being 79 years old. Jesuit scumbag. Jesuits from Paris, France, big in Washington, D.C., 187, big number with them. Again, a reminder about Fauci and the pandemic on March 11th. He's got the Christmas Eve birthday, right for a member of Jesus. Oh, by the way, the news of this death broke late September 20th, Monday, the 263rd day of the year, which is the 56th prime. And again, Society of Jesus Forwards is 56. Like coronavirus, like COVID vaccine, like climate change, like Pope Francis, the first Jesuit, wrote the encyclical Fratelli Tutti, 56, about what to do about COVID and climate change. Toilet paper for all the mind-controlled people. Went out and bought up all the toilet paper because the news media said COVID could cause a toilet paper shortage. It's really they just wanted you thinking more about buttholes and, not being able to wipe your butthole because before long you were even going to have tears coming out of it because of the coming ritual of the pandemic. You know what I mean? Holy shit. That's what this has been, some holy shit. The Holy Catholic Church behind a whole load of shit. Most people aren't seeing it. Anthony Fauci, Washington, D.C., Paris, France. There's a lot more to that list. That's a short list. There's a million more. And again, it goes beyond the words and the numbers, you guys. Gavin Newsom, 56, Jesuit-educated, locked down California, first governor to do so over COVID. Said 56% of California will get coronavirus in 8 weeks. So many rituals like that from then up to now, That's why I didn't start with letters and numbers. I start with seeing how numbers are being used ritualistically with news. 9/11 was the big wake-up call, and then I noticed a bunch more after that. I was like, there's something about numbers and news. We're being fucked with, man. And we are. That's what I said when I was 18 years old. We are being fucked with, man, and people don't see it. People want to fight because I'm pointing out how we're getting fucked with. I guess it's easier to just not even think about it. Well, what I knew as an 18-year-old, all my wisdom as an 18-year-old was if we didn't start doing something about it, it was going to get a lot worse. If they do that to us, what else would they do? See? Now you're seeing it with COVID. Well, some people still aren't. Oh yeah, they said the couple met in 86. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice that the Jesuit couple met in 86? And then isn't it funny how I just posted this days ago. This isn't from today, but we were just about 25 in death and time. Notice from Ford's birthday to the news breaking about the death was his 25th day of his age. See that? Just like how we're talking about Kristin Smart and 25 years later. Again, you guys, for 8 years straight, I've been writing down the same patterns, talking about the same stuff every single day because it's the same stuff every single day. And you just think about 25 naturally with time. It just makes sense, right? Because 25 is a quarter. We think of time in terms of the seasons, which are quarters, 25% of a year. Again, there's a lot of thought behind what they've done. The numbers come from the Bible. They make sense mathematically. I mean, look at the gematria of mathematics in the most simple cipher. A is 1 up to z is 26. What does it equal? It equals 112. Well, what's within that? 1 plus 1 is 2, right? That's where it all begins. 1 plus 1 is 2. Who taught you about numbers and words? You got Roman numerals, you got the Roman Catholic Church with numbered Bibles, But yeah, 25 days, and go back and watch. I put it on Gematria FX Sports. I went back and played the clip from September 16th, what I was saying about Monday Night Football, days in advance, how it'd be all in tribute to the Pope, and it just was. I mean, it was just so perfect. It was so perfect. That day, the day of this news, was 277 days after the Pope's birthday, the 59th prime, Pope Francis 59. The Packers coach became 27-7. The Lions coach became 5-9. A lot of Lions fans are confused because they think he's 0-2. Don't forget he was 5-7 with Miami back in 2015. So he's 0-2 with the Lions. He's 5-9 for his career as a head coach. I don't put out false numbers, you guys. People are trying to argue. They're like, Zach's making that up. He's not 5-9. I'm like, dude, we talked about before the NFL week even began, and the first game of the week, washing over the Giants, was a huge Jesuit ritual, and it's ended with 59 points. The whole league scripted together. It's all in tribute to the Jesuit cabal. But, oh yeah, by the way, this guy, Tom Ford, his most critically acclaimed film, not only is in the fashion industry, he's also in Hollywood, totally Jesuit, but his most critically acclaimed film, Nocturnal Animals, is 187. And this story broke late September 20th. A lot of places did not report it until the next day, September 21st, which was the day leaving 101 days left in the year. Nocturnal Animals also 101. So you see that? The 187, that Jesuit number in his film. Partners gone in a clear Jesuit ritual. Last year around this time, it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, 187 days after her birthday, dead on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, replaced by the Catholic Amy Coney Barrett. The Protestant Reformation was against Jewish and Catholic tyranny. The Supreme Court's all Catholic and Jewish. DC's all Jesuit and Mason. Again, you guys. And again, it's not to say that if you're Catholic or Jewish, you're bad. It's not saying that everybody in those groups is bad, but it's to point out that these are historical facts. There was Jewish and Catholic tyranny in Europe, and they even kind of clue us into that with the founding of America, the people fleeing Europe. And the joke is that we got free. We never got free, you guys. Free equals 74, like holiday, like Independence Day. We didn't get free on 7-4. It's the joke. Romans 74, Holy Roman Empire 74, Jesus Cross, Messiah, Gospel Parables, all 74, the Society of Jesus, 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence. Speaking of 56, Sarah Jessica Parker's 56 right now. She was on HBO, the 56 network. We just talked about the death of Omar, Michael K. Williams in a big 56 ritual. It was a 54-56 ritual, Jesuit Order and Society of Jesus, on Idris Elba's birthday, another Jesuit pawn, used right at the beginning of the pandemic to scare black people. But we were just talking about Sarah Jessica Parker losing her friend, and now she loses one of her co-stars on Sex and the City, her big show on HBO. Dead at 57. We've seen a lot of entertainers go at 57. Entertainers 57. The word city's 57 since she was in Sex and the City. I think that's probably part of it. We were just talking about Tupac's death ritual in history, 213 days after the release of his album on 213, and how death is 213 and everything else that fit in with Tupac. This man, Wille Garson's also dead 213 days after his birthday. I see that he went to Wesleyan. If you're out there, Liam, man, I'm going to punch you in the face if I ever see you again and find out you're part of this network. I had a good Jewish friend. His name was Liam. He was a good dude. And him and I, we met at the group home. I mean, we were both doing good in the world. He went to this college, though, and he came from an affluent family. And unlike myself, he kind of chose to do, he was like he was a good person, man. And him and I were always cool, and we hung out. We even traveled together, man. I went to Florida with him and some other friends, and down to the Bay Area. I mean, he was a cool dude. But when I learned this research, he went against me so hard, like harder than anybody else, and I just thought it was over the top. I was like, what the fuck? Because I was making good points, and then him and I, we haven't talked at all since 2013, and him and I were good friends for 7 years. But he went to that school too, and I noticed quite a few people went to that school that are in high places. There's something about that school. This guy went there too. I almost wonder if Liam knew something, man, and he was trying to get me to not talk about something maybe I wasn't supposed to be talking about. But anyway, dead 213 days after the birthday. And then from Sarah Jessica Parker's birthday to his death was 180 days. Wille Garson 180, right? And if you use your base ciphers, Wille Garson's also 144 and 72 like Jesuit Order. His death in the news the same day as the 72-year-old fashion designer who clearly went out in the Jesuit ritual. And then again, Sarah Jessica Parker's 56 years old right now. Society of Jesus, HBO, He died on the last day of summer. You associate the summer with heat, the sun. His full name equals 93, like the sun being 93 million miles away. Numbers also related to Saturn, which is connected to death and judgment, and Pope Francis is born on Saturnalia. But yeah, we just talked about Michael K. Williams dying on Idris Elba's birthday. Idris Elba's 79, Society of Jesus 56 and 79. That was September 6th, a date with 56 numerology. What's weird is, that was 9/6, and it was a span of 96 days from the anniversary of the release of the first Wire episode. And remember, we started with Kristin Smart, who died in 96. And you could say 95 days after her birthday or her 96th day of her age. Again, that's a special number, too. In the most simple cipher, Freemason is 96. Knowledge is 96. Whoops, got to spell it right. Knowledge. Seen some flat earthers say that's because you got to know the ledge, otherwise you can walk off. I'm just like, all right, well, if that's the real knowledge, you guys better show me the damn edge then. You guys have been going at it since 2015. Show me the edge. I need some evidence. I'm an evidence-based man. That's why my work's all evidence-based from day one. And every day the evidence just piles up. Hey, how about home box office, what HBO stands for, 7254, like Jesuit order? And remember, Omar Michael K. Williams just died at age 54. And if you watch the first episode of The Wire, the date in the first episode that they put in the story is May 4th, 54. And the character that Omar's based on is a real man who was born in 54. You know. And he just did the tribute to DMX, who just died in a big Jesuit ritual on Easter Sunday. Society of Jesus. Speaking of fashion, there's Perry Jones. Check out his designs. When I get the car back, I'm going to drive down to the seamstress and get my measurements, Perry. Perry really wants me to send my measurements. He wants to make me a gematria suit or just a throwover jacket. I think Perry thinks my work would go farther if I look nicer than just wore my white t-shirt each day. I think that's what he's nicely trying to say. And in this world, that's probably true. If we had like some nice studio set up, some great display back here, if we had that going on, I probably would have more viewers because some people just need the eye candy. And I always debate on if I should do that or not. You know, do my hair, look nice, make myself pretty, or just do it the way I do it. I try to look. In a way, I want this knowledge to not be lost on swine. I want it to find the audience that it deserves. And I feel like people who cut through all those filters and just listen for the information, they're receiving it. You know, we really do need more than that, though. But anyway, I'll get the measurements to Perry, and we'll see what the gematria suit looks like before long. But yeah, there's more that I want to talk about, but I'll save some for tonight. It's Wednesday night, you guys. It's TFR. I'm going to, live on air, I'm going to change the phone number down here. Because again, Wednesday nights, it's a different call-in number. If you want to call in tonight for TFR, it's every Wednesday night, 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern. It's the 213 number, and that's because it's the TFR number. I'm on the TFR radio when that's going on. And I will give you one more before we leave, though. Today, all they're talking about is the possible debt default and how the market could fall. Today's officially the first day of fall, right? All the big market collapses in history are in the fall. Today leaves 100 days left in the year, and look at debt default in the most simple cipher, 100, right? All day, they're talking about the debt default and what could happen for the economy, how it could be cataclysmic. And remember how this year began? It began with the big ritual and tribute to The Economist cover from 1988, 33 years ago, about get ready for a one world currency. You guys, they got plans for us. They got plans. And that's why an ounce of preparation's worth a pound of cure. You know, just make sure you have things on hand that you might need in case you find yourself in a really bad spot for up to 2 weeks. And if it's longer than that, man, we're all going to be fucked. But, you know, have yourself prepared for 2 weeks of bad shit, because it could happen. It could happen. It could be worse than that. But don't live in fear. Just realize, you know, you were born at this time, and put the right frame of mind on it. You were born at this time for a moment, you know. You heard the call. You heard the message. What were you going to do to be part of the solution? Again, if we could wake up humanity and fight back, we could stop what's coming. We could make the world a whole lot better place if everybody would just realize they don't need to be a slave each day. They don't need to go do their slave job and go to slave school and pay more taxes on, you know, the slave debt created for us. What our responsibility as a human being, as a spiritual person, is to overthrow this evil and tyranny. And again, that's why I'm here every day. 8 years. And I'm almost done with book 3. And again, it's called Illuminati Confirmed, the Jesuit order. You see, I'm putting it on them, you guys. It was weird. It was the very first book title that came into my head because I've been mocked with this phrase, Illuminati Confirmed. But I was like, let me just see what the gematria that is. Because if you guys don't know this, the only time I use gematria is in my book titles. They're all coded out, all pointing to who's responsible. 187 in the first title, like Society of Jesus. What did I do in the last one? Didn't I do a nice little 201 in the last one where I educate about 201 in the Jesuits? We've learned way more, though, because I've been done with this book for a year, and in the last year, I have learned so much. So, when I saw that title was 201, I was like, that is it, man. That book title was meant to be written exposing these people. Because I think they probably created that term Illuminati confirmed for bozos to use to mock the truth. Because it's like they are. It's like it is the Illuminati confirmed. And the bozos think that they're saying something like to dismiss the idea that needs to be thought about. So, Kristin Smart, man. I mean, it couldn't get any more Illuminati. And remember, the Illuminati is just the Jesuits. And again, you don't think the Illuminati exists? Go get a dollar bill and look at all the symbolism on there. That's their symbolism. You see how Bavarian Illuminati in the most simple cipher is 188? Add up the U.S. dollar bill denominations. The 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, the 100. What's it add up to? 188. Can't tell you how many times they've done rituals with those numbers. Ooh, all these numbers, man. Actually, I shouldn't say all, because I don't have anything off the top of my head for 298, but the rest of them I can go on for days. There probably is something with 298. I just need to catch on to it. So we'll leave it there. That'll be the number to call in tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. That's when the show starts. Know your time zones. I'm on the West Coast. Starts at 6 p.m. my time. Ends at 9 my time. If you're in the other part of the world, do the calculation. Just look up Pacific Standard Time to your time. See what the difference is. But yeah, call-in show tonight. And, of course, Rambo will be on. We'll see if Rambo was taken by all the Gabby Petito. I never know what Rambo's going to present on. Rambo has free reign to present whatever he wants. So I don't know if I'm ever disappointed. Sometimes I like his presentations a lot more than others, but again, he always does a great job. Rambo, if you're out there, I really wish you would start your own channel and just start pumping out the content as much as you can, man. People would love it. So anyway. See you tonight, True Seeker. Until next time.